Hi. There's 7 crests in Silksong: the Hunters, the Reapers, the Wanderers, the Beast's Crest, Witch, Architect, and the Shaman's Crest, each with their own unique animations and movesets. Some of these crests have special abilities like changing the way Hornet binds. More specifically, however, the Beast Crest replaces Hornet's traditional bind with a more aggressive approach. Instead of healing upon binding, Hornet will enrage, and for each successful hit she lands, she will restore 1 mask. This sounds quite interesting, but along with the other smaller challenges Beast Crest offers, and the completely unnecessary addition of Steel Soul mode just to stress myself, it should be interesting. Previously I was able to defeat the last judge, and now I wanted to see if I could complete Silksong's Act 2 while only bearing the crest of the beast. Our run starts in the wormways, where I go and meet the alchemist Xylitol so we can get some lifeblood, but first he offers us a quest to help him retrieve some blue stuff, I guess. After completing his quest, he lets us purchase some of our very own blue stuff to inject into ourselves, and with that we go into our first boss fight of Act 2, the cogwork dancers. At the start of the fight, I was wrecking the cogwork dancers, but they had 4 phases, and each one was harder than the last, so I had to be wary. Well, actually, the 4th phase isn't that bad, it's just one sad cogwork dancer fighting by himself, but we can take him down really quickly if we want. With both cogwork dancers dead, Hornet receives a quest to retrieve 3 folds of a forgotten melody across the citadel. And just like that, we've made it into the cogwork core. But first, I make this bench accessible because I need to repair my tools, and then I grab this map from up here. The cogwork core is one of the most difficult platforming sections in Silksong, and I needed to be careful because here I was almost entirely 3-shot, because almost everything here does 2 masks of damage. But through this hidden room I found a spool fragment, and this was just the first of many to come. I wanted to attempt to complete some of Cogwork Core, but ultimately it was too difficult without clawline. So after that embarrassment, I went to go get clawline.
Fala den.
Timbiayan.
Oj, fala den. Jag ser bada.
Even though in Steel Soul mode, Silk Eaters are literally useless to me, I'm still collecting them because there's an NPC I can find later that will give me some rosaries in exchange for some of these. I accepted a wish to go find this traveling merchant, and I found her being attacked by these stupid citadel bugs. But of course I rescued her and sent her back to Songclave. Well, of course after listening to her yap for a whole decade. After leaving that bug to our own devices, I made my way to the whiteward, one of the scariest areas in this entire game. While I was going to retrieve this relic that I saw over here, I got jumped by a random bug that was ensnared by Silk. I didn't know what was up with him, but I took advantage of the situation and healed. There's a few dangerous enemies in this hallway, but they're easy to avoid and we can just jump past them. Before going to get clawline, of course, we go and get the most useful tool in all of Silksong, the Injector's Band. Last time I lost my Steel Soul run, everyone in the comments was telling me how much of a failure I was for not using this. Well, joke's on them, I don't get to use any blue tools. Oh hey, we're in the underworks. I don't plan on tarrying here for too long either, though. I just need to get the clawline and get out of here. To get the clawline, I would need to go through the cauldron, which is a lava-filled area within the underworks that is one of the most notorious areas for ending Steel Soul runs. Lava deals 2 masks of damage, and I could fix that with a charm that reduces lava damage to 1 mask, but I can't equip any blue charms, so I have to go through this area taking double damage to everything. I managed to maneuver my way through these exploding bugs and save this flea over here, and I was worried about making it back, but they didn't spawn back quick enough. This very narrow hallway right here, with lava pouring from the ceiling, is potentially the most dangerous area in the entire game. I was very close to not clearing the blast radius from this bug. Not only is below the floor lava, but also most of the floor in this place that Hornet can stand on is still filled with magma and hurts her if she stands on it for too long. If it's not hurting Hornet's feet, it's falling into the lava. This hallway right here is easily avoidable, and you don't get anything other than a craft medal for doing this, but I didn't want to come back here later, so I just went and tested my luck anyways. Hornet isn't even allowed to get the craft medal in peace because this big guy just jumps out of the ceiling to attack her. But after killing him, we make sure to grab the craft medal and make our way out of here. Now the only thing left to do in the cauldron is grab clawline, and that is pretty easy without lava falling from the ceiling. Clawline is definitely my favorite movement ability in Silksong. It's just Hornet throwing her needle straight forward and it can hook onto rings and such. However, as this enemy arena presents itself, the clawline is also a very effective combat weapon. These stupid exploding bugs that were bothering me before can be clawlined into and eliminated effectively. And with only 2 exploding bugs left, we can make our way out of the enemy arena. And find ourselves into yet another enemy arena. The Underworks is filled with examples of enemy arenas, and I feel like I couldn't go anywhere without seeing an enemy arena, but it was okay, for the most part. In the end though, not even the floor opening up was able to stop Hornet, and she killed every single enemy here. After defeating those loser bugs, I was able to make my way through this parkour segment within the Underworks, and it's pretty fun. It has falling objects from the ceiling, and it's just like the lava, except it doesn't do double damage. I was just happy I wasn't fighting another enemy arena. Oh, speaking of enemy arenas. I wanted to give my HP back here, but I was just punished for doing so by getting hit not once, but twice by this stupid flying guy. When the big guy inevitably spawned in, he spawned in from the middle, and he decided he was going to go on the offensive, putting me at 1 HP. I was barely able to get myself out of this situation. Of course, in the end I was able to kill these guys, and make my way immediately out of the enemy arena and into the mist. To end off all the enemy arenas on a high note, I went to the cogwork core to do my least favorite enemy arena in the entire game. This hatred doesn't just come from any 2 enemy combinations or the saws on the ceiling and floor, but from these shielded enemies, making it impossible for you to hit them at all times. I was in Beast Crest mode here, but if I wasn't, I wouldn't be able to hit him through his shield and I would have just died. I collected a mask shard for all of that, and just a shortcut out of the cogwork core into the coil chambers. After I was done being an idiot falling into the spikes, I went and saved this flea up here past all these saw blades. After exploring some of the coral chambers, I went to the high halls, and this place isn't just infamous for its gauntlet. The enemies here all do double damage, and can all hit very quickly. Not only that, the clawline platforming here can be a little challenging at some points. Usually I'm able to skip these 2 enemies, but I was not able to be quick enough, and one of them stopped my path. Luckily I got through by only taking 2 masks of damage. And then finally I came across a tool I could use, the cogflies, a red tool, something I could just deploy and they would do the attacking for me. They weren't the most wonderful, but they were something I could use. After the high hall shenanigans, I made my way to Craw Lake to get my favorite silk skill in the game. Of Of course, it wouldn't be a fully completed Silksong area if there wasn't a random enemy gauntlet, so yeah, I'm fighting a bunch of birds. Luckily, if you can attack quick enough, you can actually parry all of the enemy's attacks, so you end up not really taking any damage at all throughout the fight. Mistakenly, I healed at the end of this enemy arena thinking I would get some sort of HP back, but actually I just wasted my silk. After the bird fight, I just made my way up through their area, bouncing off these balloons to get the new silk skill, which is Threadstorm. Of course, it wouldn't be a Katzen video if I didn't miss a very simple jump. Although this spike pit death trap is actually surprisingly safe even in Beast Crest mode. Wow, Team Cherry were really thinking about all the crests when they designed this place. After gaining our silk skill, we want to make our way out of here as quick as possible. Seriously, I really hate this place. I actually can make my way into this area of Sinner's Road where I don't find sticks, but I find a new Steelsville exclusive NPC called skynx. He was what I was talking about before. I can sell my silk eaters to him and he'll give me an amount of rosaries. I actually don't know how many rosaries he gives per silk eater, but I think it goes up every time you give him one. Instead of gambling with this stupid NPC and blasted steps, I just return in Act 2 when he's dead and pick up his dice, which allows me to prevent some damage sometimes. After talking with my favorite NPC here, he will meet me in the Whispering Vaults where I can duel him and he will help me in a gauntlet later. But first I'll be making my way into the slab. The slab is Farloom's designated prison complex, a pretty spooky place in my opinion, but I'm really just here for one reason. That's right, I'm here for Era. No, I'm just kidding, I'm actually here for Mount Fae, which is where I get my double jump in this game. Which we can get right to doing as soon as I miss this jump right here. We have no time to waste speaking with Shocker because we have one mission in mind. All of that mumbo-jumbo I spoke before about cogwork core being a deadly platforming section, that can all be thrown out the window because Mount Fae puts you on a timer where you will start taking damage if you are not quick enough, and the platforming here is even worse in my opinion than cogwork core. Although this platforming section surprisingly doesn't change much in Beast Crest mode, because it's primarily used with clawline. I wasn't really surprised, but it was nice to know that I already had this all memorized and I didn't have to worry that much. This hallway is actually surprisingly deadly because of the clawline timings, and I went in with half HP, but I was pretty sure I'd be fine, and I was. Even though I missed this ring right here and fell into the water, I was still able to get out of there and get a bench in time before dying. There's also a secret wall right here which I didn't know existed. This was the last charm I found in my 100% run. The tool is actually useless, I mean especially to me because I can't use blue tools, but even for someone who could use it, you're really not going to want to. It's actually pretty bad. After another mild platforming section, I make my way up through here to save a flea and make my way towards double jump. In the end though, we can make our way through the final segment of Mount Fae where we can finally retrieve double jump, which is a very useful ability to have, especially when you want to get to Act 3. To obtain our faydown cloak, though, we must first summon the Faythorn, which is an entity with unknown origins, which I really like the design of. With our double jump finally obtained, we can make our way out of Mount Fay. But not without saving this flea first, of course. We love saving fleas. After getting this mossberry from the memoriam, I make my way through the area and find the putrified ducts. Which is behind a secret wall that is extremely high off the ground. Like, I don't know how Team Cherry expected any average player to find this, but I did my first time, so I'm sure some people did. The putrified ducts is like an advanced version of a bile water in that it's gross and disgusting, and all the enemies do double damage, because of course they do. The smartest thing for me to do here would be to leave, but of course I'm not going to do that because there's some stuff I need to get. One of the reasons I'm here in Putrified Ducts is to get the Key of the Apostate so I can fight the first Sinner later on with Beast Crest. It's right here, and after I get this, I can go talk with the Huntress to receive her quest. After this weird NPC offers to feed me to her brood, I politely counter-offer to feed her some unsuspecting pilgrims. I will be returning here later. Even though the tool is useless, I feel bad for her, really. I'm making my way through the Pale Lake for two reasons. One, because I want this craft medal over here, and two, because Hornet has to witness it to offer the fleas to relocate here later. And that's actually a really weird requirement to progress to Act 3, so I'll be doing that. I grab yet another useless blue charm, and I make my way up to Vogue, the flea. Probably the worst, 30 seconds of platforming in all of Silksong. I hate these enemies so much. I tell this flea about her caravan that's been in Blasted Steppes, and she relocates there. She'll offer me to find some fleas later, but actually I have the power of Wikipedia and I don't need to pay her any money. This exploration leads me back to Era, who I can summon to take me back to the citadel. With clawline finally in my hands, I make my way back to the cogwork core to finally finish what I started. After some precise pogos, I can make my way into the Whispering Vault's gauntlet, which is actually surprisingly easy. The enemies were nothing of note, just regular citadel bugs who were pretty much 6 or 7 shot. I made short work of the Pope Spider, and I finished the arena off pretty quickly. With our very welcome introduction out of the way, we can make our way into the Whispering Vaults, which is just a stupid puzzle area, which is actually really easy to do. There's a shortcut back up to Songclave, which will be very useful later for getting Garmond and Zaza to help me in HHG. Before anything, I make my way to save this flea, and then after that, I prioritize this pale oil over here. I really need to upgrade my needle in badly. After receiving this pale oil and getting a little bit more rosaries, we progress the Whispering Vaults some more. Through all of these saw blades and such, like the Pale King was here, I can open up an area outside of Songclave where I can meet Garmond and Zaza. But first I make my way up here to save this flea and grab a rosary necklace. Finally, when returning to this area, we can meet Garmond and Zaza and duel with them. The fight itself is actually as easy as it sounds. It's a fight against a really weak warrior, but he's got a lot of passion, so I will give him that. The game does not tell us this, but after fighting him, he will show up in the High Halls later to help us with the gauntlet. But before any of that, we have everybody's favorite character. After TROBBIOOOOOO's dramatic outro, we can continue the Whispering Vault area. I find a sacred cylinder which I can return to an NPC called the Vaultkeeper who will play the melody. After we grab the Vaultkeeper's melody, we can get our final mask shard to get a 7th mask. Afterwards, I return to Bellheart to sell some of my relics that I earned. And I upgraded my needle, of course, before the High Hall's gauntlet. And just like that, Garmond and Zaza will appear here, and you can request their aid in battle throughout the 10 waves. The gauntlet itself is nothing special, with some normal upgrades and such. I made it to the final wave very easily, but I was actually a little paranoid because these two clappers are very annoying. I kept scuffing and this last clapper got me down to 1 HP, but I just popped a couple lifebloods and I finished him off with one more hit. Despite my health being so low, I survived the gauntlet and I went to obtain the conductor's melody. With the conductor's melody and the architect's melody, which I got sometime in between the two of those, I went to go see my favorite boss fight, Lace. After playing the threefold melody, these three statues fall into the ground and the elevator opens for us to ride up into the cradle.
Nesvir?
Dorokkiba?
Pasfine?
Evanestina? Dorokkiba? Veranera?
After discovering the truth about Lace, which no one really asked for, spoiled brat, we make our way back into the slab where we can meet with the first sinner, after grabbing this mask shard. A bit below this mask shard, we can discover a place chained up. Of course, Hornet wants to know what's inside of here, so we break it open and we discover that it's one of those silk totems we've been finding all around Farloom. We, of course, want to obtain a new silk skill, so we bind it. To contrast well with this endgame super boss of Silksong, I go and fight one of the first bosses you should ever run into, the Skull Tyrant. And, yeah, with just a single needle upgrade, this fight is just extremely doable. Like, you shouldn't struggle at all. A boss you may come to hate, however, is this one, the Savage Beastfly, specifically round 2, where you fight him above a pool of lava. Similar to the platforming within the cauldron, if you come to this boss fight without Magma Bell, you're basically asking for your Steel Soul file to be deleted. But I was actually able to defeat him without any blue tools whatsoever. It was actually surprisingly easy. You've probably figured it out already, but I've been doing all these wishes so I can progress to Act 3. And also just for the rosaries they gave me, but mostly for the Act 3 stuff. After running over to this bench though, another Skull Tyrant tries to ambush me, but I was too quick. For some reason he wants to destroy Bone Bottom because I killed his wife or something. Anyways, I made quick work of him and destroyed him. But yeah, with Bone Bottom in shambles, I returned to Bellheart, which I always preferred anyways. Turning in the Savage Beastfly quest gave me my 8th mask. Speaking of early game bosses being fought in the late game, I skipped moorwing in Act 1 with the fleas, so that's why he's appearing here now. He's actually not that hard, I just really hate fighting this guy in Greymoor. On a side note, something I didn't know, killing moorwing in Act 2 instead of Act 1 gives you a beast shard, which is just more shard fragments. After I fight moorwing, I make my way through Sinner's Road. Despite this bench in Sinner's Road being useless to me, I still wanted to complete the platforming section in Beast Crest. It was quite dangerous, especially with the swinging pendulums and the flow of maggot water later, which will negate any heals I want to make. Not that I could heal anyways because I'm in Beast Crest, but whatever. Making my way back out of here, I was at least able to get rid of the maggots by sitting on the bench I just saved. Oh, and then I went to Chef Legoli. I had to defeat some of his chef henchmen before fighting the man himself. This boss might be the funniest boss in Silksong. His main method of attacking you is throwing his ass at you as quickly as he can. It is absolutely terrifying. After not too long of an encounter though, Chef Legoli goes down. After defeating Ass Jim, we make our way through the Mist, which is actually just an alternate path to the Citadel, to the last judge which we did, but I just want to fight the boss here, which is really cool. Unfortunately, I have to go through the Mist, which is one of my least favorite areas in all of Silksong. This place is so poorly optimized for Beast Crest. To heal in this place, I need to fight with these wraiths, which are hands down the worst enemy in all of Silksong. Even though they're just 3 hits from me here, I just hate fighting these enemies because they're just like the Grimkin from the OG Hollow Knight with the way they teleport through the floor and such. It's actually horrid. But with relative ease, we make our way through the mist and right into the exhaust organ. To face off against the one and only Phantom of the Opera. No, I'm just kidding, it's just Phantom. With Phantom dead and cross-stitch learned, we make our way through the citadel once more. We make our way into the blasted steppes to go fight the great conchflies, which is a pretty easy boss. I need to kill these guys so I can make my way into the last area I have unexplored, the Sands of Carrick, for quite a few things, but the main one being another one of Chakra's maps. The last one I'm missing. I need to complete her quest or I cannot continue to Act 3. First though, I make my way through the far fields in this little platforming section, which people say becomes a lot harder when you come back with double jump. I personally just don't see it. Even with Beast Crest it was pretty easy. The jump timings were pretty precise and I think I failed a few times, but ultimately I was able to get this pretty easily. If you're wondering why I'm here in the first place, I'm here because there's a fleet here. I'm just here to save a fleet, that's all. After this cockroach thing hit me in my head, I let him out of his cage and I went to go visit this guy in his shop because he has a couple of things I need to buy. After leaving the far fields, I make my way back into the whiteward because Sherma's here. She's locked in this closet for some reason, and there's a bunch of ghosts that try to kill her. Luckily, Hornet makes it here just in time to beat them up. Oh, it's just another enemy gauntlet. That's all this is, it's just another enemy gauntlet. Luckily, with how far into the game we are, none of these enemies pose much of a threat, and with Beast Crest mode especially, we make quick work of them all. For my troubles, Sherma hands me a spool fragment, and I make my way out of here. Surprisingly, over an hour into this video, I haven't been to Bilewater yet, so yeah, I'm going into Bilewater now. A lot of people hate the area of Bilewater, either for the annoying enemies or the floor that takes away your healing, but I actually like it a little bit, despite the traps that are actually pretty unpredictable sometimes. It's actually pretty fun to navigate. After platforming around these exploding bugs, I go up here to save this flea from these weird thieving bugs. Seriously, they attack Hornet and steal her money. The native residents of Bilewater, excluding the exploding squits, are the Stilken, and they're pretty annoying because they'll try to jump back into the Bilewater to get away from Hornet, but if you kill them quick enough, you don't have to worry about it. For some reason, Menderbug's weird narcissistic cousin built a statue of himself in Bone Bottom, so after destroying that, I go and find Chakra in this trail's end. After the funeral with Chakra, Hornet makes her way into Bilehaven, the home of the Stilken, and we fight a bunch of the most annoying enemies from Bilewater. To top it off, after all these enemies are killed, their leader will spawn in. He's called Groll the Great, and he's probably the worst boss in Silksong. I would have to be quick, otherwise this fellow would take away my ability to heal and he would finish me off quickly, ending my Steel Soul run. Eventually I was able to get the final hit on him, killing Gold the Great for good. After killing Groll, we go and get the Seeker's Soul, and then we make our way out of Bilewater and back to Songclave. Before we can move forward to Act 3, there's just a couple more quests for Hornet to finish, and then the Caretaker will give us instructions on how to kill Grandmother Silk the correct way. The first of these two quests is to find this lost merchant who keeps running away from Songclave for some reason. I find her being attacked by this flock of birds, and I kill them off pretty quickly. They're only pretty annoying because they can deal double contact damage to Hornet. After saving her for good, we can go discover who the Wailing Mother is, and it turns out it's just a really annoying boss who was spawning in all those annoying flies in the slab. After killing her, hopefully no more of these will ever have to be created again. After taking down this boss after what feels like a little bit too long, we can go upgrade our needle and then take down the final boss of Silksong's Act 2. Of course, before that, we choose to travel with the flea caravan, because I just love seeing hornets surrounded by all these cute fluffy fleas. After we're transported here, we go to complete the final steps of this pale oil quest, which takes us to halfway home in Greymoor. After paying this guy 480 rosaries for an ingredient to a dish I don't even get to eat, I had to clean up this dude's basement of ants, and then I got to retrieve the ingredient. Luckily, although the ants are numerous, the fight itself isn't too bad. Usually you're only fighting 1 or 2 ants at a time. After letting this fella know about his serious ant problem in his cellar, we make our way to Ma's home to get mossberry stew. After retrieving the mossberry stew, we can head back to Belhart to take the courier's rasher, which is just Silksong's excuse for a delicate flower quest, meaning we had to make it all the way into the citadel without getting hit, like 4 or 5 times. Luckily that wasn't too hard whatsoever, we were able to get our pale oil and get out of here. Is what I would have loved to say, except for some reason we get to listen to this dude slurp up his food for 8 minutes. We politely grab our pale oil and make our way out of the citadel quickly. And we make our way into the whiteward to fight the Unraveled, who's my personal least favorite boss in the game. After defeating the Unraveled, whom we fought for the last Silk Heart by the way, we go and get the last 2 Shaman Souls. I still didn't have enough rosaries for this needle upgrade, but I just had to check regardless. While returning to Belheart to grab the Hermit's Soul, I do grab the needle upgrade because I did farm some rosaries while I was near the Citadel. After getting the last needle upgrade available in Act 2, I go and get the Maiden Soul so that I can craft the Snare Setter. After returning to the Caretaker with these items in hand, he will craft the Snare Setter, which we can use to trap Grandmother Silk. After the inspirational conversation with the Caretaker, he commits Sudoku, and then we go into the final boss of Act 2, Grandmother Silk. And that's right, folks. Right as I tried to bind, GMS struck me and I died, meaning I lost my Steel Soul file, meaning this is the end. Of course, only joking, I will be back when the DLC returns with, of course, Sea of Sorrow and Act 3 content.
So I found a fucking jockey and I